Don't know if you can hear that or not, but that's a storm going through. That's a 10% storm going through. That's right, 10% is what they said. All 10% of it's right here on top of me. Hey, we're not worried about that. We're in the house, everything's good. As my dad used to say, if you want the perfect job, become a weatherman, a weather person. Because there's the only job on the planet where you can be completely wrong on a regular basis and still keep a job. Hey, well, you know that crazy nature. It's always unpredictable. So today, what are we going to talk about? I'll tell you what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the underrated, underdog, underappreciated, under the boardwalk. No, that's different. That was a song. Disregard that last one. But what we're going to talk about is what I like to call the underrated underspin. Now, some people think that the underspin reel came along not too long ago. No, not necessarily so. Because if you're talking about a spinning reel, well, it technically is an underspin. It's down there. But what they're trying to tell you is underspin meaning spin cast. Okay? Now, this started way back, and we're not going to go all the way back to the very first one or anything like that. But I'm going to show you a variety in my collection. I like saying that. It's in my collection. Hold on, let me get it right. That's right, I have a collection. And one of these days, my collection is going to go to DC and it's going to go into museums and all of... No, it's not. No, it's not. What's really going to happen, let me go back to normal. What's really going to happen is all of my kids are going to get it and they're going to sell all that stuff once I'm dead and gone, and they'll probably get $100, and by that time gas will be about, $45 a gallon, and a couple of $100 won't do them any good at all. What I'd really like to do is have them all disassembled and all the pieces and parts sent out to all of my subscribers, and then you guys have to get together and try to figure out which ones go to what so you can actually use them to go fishing. Now, wouldn't that be an adventure? Not really. But anyway, let's go back to the whole underspin thing. They started out a long time ago. It didn't just happen overnight. It didn't just happen in the 80s or the 70s or whatever. It didn't just happen with Zebco and these little trash can models. It didn't just happen with the Abomatic 275U. No, it goes back further than that. It goes way back further than that. It goes back, we're going to go back to just a few that I actually have. What is going on here? Almost made me go cross-eyed right there. Let's go back to, Shakespeare, the 1810. This is an underspin reel that really, it is so much fun to use this reel. There is a learning curve, and I mean when it curves, man, I'm going to tell you what, it's like a hairpin. I'm not joking. This one is so cool because you don't have a button. Obviously, you see there's no pushing any buttons. What you actually do is, this switch right here, it's not really a switch, it's a lever. But this lever right here, you kick it backwards. And it releases the pin inside, allowing you to release the line. But you better have your finger up here on line. Because if you don't, whatever you got is going to fall right to the ground. Then you cast, just like you would a spinning reel, you're holding the line, goes on out there. As soon as it hits the water, I love storms. As soon as it hits the water, you let it go to the bottom or whatever you're doing. You flip this switch backwards, because as you notice right now, she don't make any noise, okay? You flip this switch backwards, you reel. Now it won't go backwards anymore. So that way you can't accidentally release the line. Did a video on that, told you all about it, got a little irate in the process. It's my fault, I'm sorry, I get a little over anxious sometimes. Anyway, that is the Shakespeare level wind wonder reel, spin wonder reel, 1810, okay? Now this thing goes back, way back to the 50s. you know, and it's a very, very cool reel. And this one works very, very well. I'm not kidding. It works really well. Now we're going to jump into another one, which now I know what you're thinking. He's going to show us one of them green reels again. Well, I am. Why am I? Because technically, even though they were a spin cast reel, they could go either direction. They could be spin cast with the thummy doodah, or they could be an underspin. Let's just go with this one, for example. This is, see that? Is everybody looking at that? You can't read that, can you? A Johnson Century 100, Model 100. Now this is where you start getting into buttons and no, also having a, how are y'all doing? Anti-reverse. This one actually has an anti-reverse. Now when you talk about the Model 80 Sidewinder, which we've seen before, the string comes flying out of the right hand side, your button's on the left with your drag and a little small crank there. There is no anti-reverse on that. So you got to keep your hand on the crank when you set the hook. Otherwise, when you set the hook, that thing's going to take off like it's rolling downhill. I'm not kidding. I did it. That's how I figured it out. You go up also into the Johnson Citation, okay, the 110, 100, 110. A little bit bigger. The cool thing about these, of course, has always been the fact that you can use them like a spin cast reel on top, or you can flip them upside down, flip the switch from right to left on the side, and you can use it on a fly rod. We're going to get to that in just a minute. Now we're going to talk about another Shakespeare model. I meant to tell you about the 1810. The 1810, that's your drag, is the entire bill, okay? Just forgot to mention that. You may have to add that in or put it back, or you may not even care, but I'm going to tell you because I forgot. So that's just how it goes. Yes, I'm talking fast. I'm expecting the power to go out in any moment. You can't sneeze down here without the power going out. Anyway, that's how you tighten your drag. I'm sure you can hear that, okay? Drag down, drag loosen. All right, we got that. Let's get that out of the way. Now let's go to the Shakespeare, that's from the same company as the 1810, comes the Shakespeare 1875. Now the 1875 is, I'm going to tell you what, is one classy looking, this thing looks classy, all right? Now this one, of course, you have a drag star on the side, kind of like you would a bait caster. But you don't kick the switch backwards on this one to cast, you got a button back here. Boop, you press that in. And yes, you have to boop every time you do that. If you don't, you're not allowed to use this. Anyway, that's your button back there. And it is a designated underspin. Now you can put it on top if you want. Totally up to you. But you're going to look like a boob out there doing this. You're going to be reeling in reverse. It's just silly. I'm going to come along and slap you. Put a spinning reel up like that and let me see you do it. Anyway, the 1875 is an extremely classy looking reel that I want another one of. I really do. I really do, for the fact of the matter is that I always have this tendency to get one really great thing, and that great thing eventually has a problem, and then I don't have a great thing anymore. I just have a thing that was great. It makes sense to me. So I'd like to find another one of these. I really would. They're really good reels. Really good reels. So this one, of course, you don't, like I said, you don't have to kick it backwards. Your button's on the back. Got your drag on the side. Really a great functioning reel. Now, of course, you jump up into the 80s. It happens. The 80s happened. Folks, let's just get over it. It happened. Okay? It was the 80s. Parachute pants. Cars that didn't last very long. And flock of seagulls. And, let's just get past it. I know I didn't say it didn't happen. I just said let's just get past it. Okay? Let's talk about the trash cans. Now this is an Omega. Now I've never understood if it's an Omega 144 or an I-44. I don't know. They made the I, if it's an I, look like a 1, and made the 1, if it's a 1, look like an I. So I can't tell. But it does have a 44 on it. If you can see it, I'm not sure you can or not. But anyway, These are what my cousin and I used to call trash cans. We called them trash cans because it looked like it should sit like that and you should dump trash on the top of it. It looked like it should be sitting in the hallway of a school or a hospital and people walking by putting trash in the thing. Now, were they the best reel that ever walked? No, I don't think they walked actually. But were they the best reel ever? No, they weren't. But they worked okay. And when I say okay, I say that because they were fairly inexpensive. And you could trash one, take it all apart that afternoon, clean it all back up, and use it again the next day. So they weren't bad. They were a little weird to get used to with the trigger. That was the oddity behind it. But they wanted it to seem like you were using a spinning reel, like you're holding that string. But you're not. You're holding this trigger. It's just how it goes. That's the way they were designed. They come apart pretty easily. This one has the screw that you undo and the top and the bottom come off. But all in all, they weren't a bad little reel. We used them a lot. I mean a lot. Walking rivers. And I used to put this. Now we're going to get around to the whole rod part of this magnificent video that you've tuned in to watch. The rod. I use... With this one now, you can actually use a regular spinning rod if that's what you want to do. It's totally up to you. But I used to love to put these on fly rods because you still use, you know, what you want. You can still, it still works. But this one actually works better on a regular spinning rod. Okay, just going to say. But now, when you get to, let's jump down to the Johnson Century. When you get to these guys, these work better on fly rods. If you're going to do the underspin thing, which we're here talking about. The whole reason we're here. If you're going to do that, you really want this to be underneath. And the reason that I like using the 100s and the 110s. Now this is a 110-A. I'm sorry. Is the dash the same thing? Yeah, dash A, not slash. We use slashes a lot. These. I know, there's a difference. One's elongated at a 45-degree angle. The other one's totally horizontal and very short. Anyway, I like using these, the 100s, the 110s, and the 110As, and also the 100-As, because of the trigger. Okay, the trigger on these guys, very short. It's very small. So if you want to use this as a spinning reel, I have a terrible time with my thumb going, because you got to hold that down when you cast. And you just do this. It just happens. There's nothing you can do about it. Some people, you may have sticky tree frog fingers or something. I don't. I have calloused hands and they slip off of plastic like that. So I like using these on a fly rod because I can put it underneath of there. I can grab the line and with my left hand, click the button, and I'm fishing away. There you go. That's why I like using those there. Now, when you get up to the Shakespeares, we're going to jump into those guys. The 1810 has really got a couple of cousins, a bigger version and an older version, that are basically the same, identical kickback and all that stuff. This also is a designated, now you could actually, let's think this through just a minute here. No, you can't. You can't do it. Shh. Can't be done. Also a designated underspin. Fly rod is great for this also because you kick this backwards, you grab your line on your fly rod, out there you go. Lock your switch in place. She doesn't kick backwards. Fly rod. Just saying. Same here, 1875, fly rod. Because, we've been through this. Don't you get me started about that. But designated to me fly rod underspin. There's no way to get away from that. I love using this reel. Again, I want to find another. I'd like to find another one of each one of these. I ain't kidding. And I could do it on eBay, but eBay scares me. I'm just saying it, okay? I'm just saying it. Just get off me about it. It frightens me. eBay frightens me. Because sometimes you just don't know. You really don't. I mean, but anytime you order something, you know, and back in the day, if you couldn't get one of these, and say you went to Sears, you know, and Sears had one of those in the catalog, if you were to order that, well, it would have took you 6.5 years to get it. I'm not kidding. In the 50s like that? Come on, man. Anyway, that was just the way time was back then. Nowadays, you get on Amazon, and if you want a spark plug, you'll order it, and the next day it's here. I know, because I just did it. So anyway, let's talk about rods real quick. Where are they at? Oh, let's talk about this. This is a reel that a couple of people have really showed a lot of interest in. This is the Abimatic 275U. And I think that U stands for underspin, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think it stands for you better believe if you find one, you better pick it up. It's a fun reel to use. Now, that reel is also something that's kind of more designated to a spinning rod. It works very well on a spinning rod because that is what it emulates. That's right, I said emulate. I could say it again, but I'm not going to. But that's what it is supposed to look like. It's supposed to give you that feeling that you're using the spinning reel when the whole time you're using something just simply that you don't have to flip bales and you don't have to worry about all that. The drag is set on a star on the side, you know, that kind of thing. But on that reel, the 275U, would you want to see it again? On that reel, if you notice the big screw on the side right there, you can actually switch this from side to side, just like a spinning reel, where you can't do that with these. Okay, so there's a little bit of a benefit to the 275U. Again, if you find one, they're very easy to work on. They seem to work really well. They're great for kids. They're great for old people. They're great for old kids. They're great for kids that are people. Give them a shot. So anyway, I just bought a new rod. Got it in this tube right here, and even though the darn thing says Orvis on it, that's not what's in it. Bass Pro Shops was blowing out these tubes for $5. So I got one. Get off me about it. Didn't need it, but I got it. It's $5. I mean, you can't get a cheeseburger for $5 anymore. La la la. There's supposed to be another piece in there somewhere. There you are. It's a magic trick. Now, it's all in pieces. I'm not going to show you the whole darn thing. I mean, you don't need to see the whole rod. You can't see it anyway. You can only see about from there to there. And that from there to there is about 3 feet. So anyway, this is a White River Dogwood Canyon. It's got some names. It's got a line of them there. White River Dogwood Canyon. I mean, I could have thought of something else. The White River Dogwood Canyon Macaroni. I would have added macaroni in there because that's kind of how it, spaghetti noodle kind of thing. But this is a 3-weight, okay? It's a 3-weight and I think it's 7'6". Yeah, 7'6". I generally like more of a 6 foot and 6'6", but this is all they had. And it was $49.99, okay? A fly rod for $50. And I have an older White River something over there. I can't remember what it is. I use it, and I've used it for years. And I mean, 20 years probably I've had that rod. I broke the tip off and they fixed it for me, and I still use it today. Now, I have this rod, and I have to think, and I think her name is Jana. My oldest son's, I'm assuming, girlfriend. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it now. I'm going to say it right out loud. It's his girlfriend. I helped her fix a tire on her Jeep, and she rewarded me by a $25 gift certificate to Bass Pro Shops, which allowed me to buy something that I probably would not have gone in and bought myself. Just saying. It's one of those things where you go in, man, I'd like to get that. But you don't do it because you just talk yourself out of it. That happens when we get older. And I don't know why when we get older that we do that, because we got less time when we get older. That's when we should be buying that stuff. That's a depressing thing to think about. Anyway, I'm going to take all this plastic and stuff off, and we are going to put a reel on. I'll give you a quick show and go kind of thing here, what it looks like. Stand by. This was just not supposed to take this long. Of course, it's not going to be that long for you, but I've been sitting here now for 5 minutes trying to get this plastic off here. And then I got to go upstairs with Devin, and we have to edit this thing to get it out tomorrow. Why? Because I didn't do one last week or the week before. You're probably wondering why I didn't. Maybe you didn't even notice. That's probably more so than any of it, because you probably didn't even notice I didn't do one. For those of you who didn't notice I didn't do one, shame on you. For those of you who did, comment down there and tell me that you realized, hey, what happened? Well, he didn't do a video. Well, I'm going to tell you why I didn't do a video. We had some house issues and we had some automotive issues, and I had to do a lot of work And I had to watch some people do a lot of work. Well, I didn't watch. I guess my wife did or somebody. But yeah, we had a leak, and we had ceiling fall in, and water, and terror, and disgust, and all that kind of thing. And then I had to do some work on my truck. Where's the... There it is. That's not the right rear. What are you doing jumping in my hands like that? And there you go. And there you go. That's how I like using these things. You can grab the line as such, hit your button, cast. It doesn't... I mean, it is a little back end heavy, a little bit. You know, a little junk in the trunk there. But that's okay. I mean, once you got that fish on the other end, it really evens out. I'm not kidding. I can show you a picture right now if you want to see one. I did. I showed you a pixture. That was a picture using a Maxxon Versa rod, which the Versa rod by Maxxon Maxxon Outfitters makes a rod called a Versa. And the reason they call it the Versa is because of versatility, which is right up my alley. I'm not kidding. I live up that alley on the left. And the versatility part is you can change the rod's handle from one direction to the other, and you can make it a spinning rod or a fly rod. And that's the cool part about it. I'm not kidding, but it's 8'6", so prepare yourself. If you buy one, it's about $100 and it's 8'6". So if you use a spinning reel, you're going to be swinging 8'6". Whew. Okay, just forewarning you now. And that was given to me by a really good friend of mine, Mr. John Morris. I mean, John's a great guy. Morris Fly Company. Look him up. If you're into fly fishing, look up Morris Fly Company. Check him out on Instagram. Check him out on YouTube. Check him out when he's coming home in the afternoon. Just don't seem like a stalker or anything, okay? Because I don't want him to know that I sent you anyway. Anyhow, that's how I use it. Here's the thing. I really want to get out and use these things, but it has been nasty hot. The picture I just showed you was one of 3 fish that I caught. 3. And 2 of them wouldn't have equaled that one fish. Fortunately, I caught him on my favorite there, the 1875. And there you have it. So here you go. That was just a little bit of what I like doing when it comes to the underrated, underappreciated, I almost said underwear. There's a lot of other unders that other unders? Is that right? Well, there's probably a few, but anyway, that's how I feel about the darn things. I think that they got overlooked. Ooh, there's an over to go with that under. Huh, imagine that. Who would have thought you could talk about something and use over and under at the same time with it? That's craziness. Huh. I didn't even learn that in English class. 54 years and I learned it now. Anyway, that's just a little bit of how I like doing this, okay? If you come across the old trash cans, you can get this in a classic, you can get this in the Omega, obviously. They make one called the Legacy. Then you can get into the newer ones. These are the newer, more updated. This goes back to the 90s, early 2000s, I would say. This is a Platinum Series Model 11. They're out there, and they're fun to use, and they're easy to work on. And if you have a problem, you usually can take them apart right there, fix it, and go fishing again. That's how I see it. I like the ease and versatility of these particular items. That sounded professional. I don't care who you are. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope I didn't bore you to tears right there. Fishing will be coming here very soon, and there's some other surprises possibly in the works. We're just waiting for it to not be, you know, hotter than the sun out there right now, and you can only do stuff from just at sun up to about 9:30 or 10 o'clock before it's so hot you just can't stand it. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate you, and until next time, that's not what I say. So thanks for watching. I truly appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one, whatever the next one may be.